call the 3 p.m. session of the January 28, 2025 meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors to order. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Remind you, if you want to address the board, you must sign up 7 days in advance of any of our regular meetings to be put on the agenda. The county administrator is the contact person for the board. However, the public may address the board under the agenda item matters presented by the public that we'll take up later in the meeting, which is agenda item 17 at our 6 p.m. session. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out and participating in your county government. Our first business item of consideration is the agenda item number 5, items of consent. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the items of consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 6, presentation of the Community Connected Citizen Award. And Mr. Dillard is going to give us some background on that.
Yes, sir. And I would like to ask Mr. Bryan and Ms. Candy DeShazo to come on up front. And, you know, when you're involved in a lot of youth activities and you go somewhere and you see the same folk and they're coaching or, you know, carrying a cooler with water, got a group of kids behind them at all times, and you realize that, you know, they've been doing this for quite a while. It's really special. And then when you see the admiration that the students have for them, it's always, you know, good to see that. And, you know, that they come as a pair. You don't see one without the other. And I've got one quote from Roger Adams that I'd like to read, then I'll share a few thoughts, and then I'll share a little bit about what they've done in the community. Brian and Candy, this is from Roger Adams. Brian and Candy DeShazo have volunteered thousands of hours in our community, serving as youth coaches for various sports. They are the perfect role models for all youth sports coaches, and they have impacted so many children in our community and provided a positive experience for those children. Athletics can play a vital role in developing children's social, cognitive, and physical skills, and having people of the DeShazo's character makes it a huge positive impact on our community. And so that's from Roger Adams, and he couldn't be here today. And, you know, just some of the things that the DeShazos have done over the years. They have been youth group leaders, community outreach through youth ministries. They've coached in Upward basketball, Henry County Parks and Rec T-ball, girls basketball, boys basketball, baseball, softball. They've done PYSL soccer, travel soccer for both boys and girls. And, you know, and that helps not just Henry County, but that's Martinsville, Danville, Henry County, Franklin County, Patrick County, Pittsylvania County, Halifax. So, you know, they've affected a lot of students in a lot of places. And I actually had worked on a video, but we couldn't get the sound right, but the students were very, and one young man even said, when he becomes a father, he wants to be like Mr. DeShazo. You know, so that's the impact that we have, and I think it's important to recognize the work that they do. Hopefully other volunteers will model after them, and I'm sure at some point in time they're gonna, you know, hang up the cleats and put the baseball bats away, the soccer cleats away, and, you know, we need other folk to model after them, and hopefully, you know, you all can recruit some folk, but others who come after you will give that same effort that you have given. And, you know, I want to focus on time, because one of the things I like to make sure is, you know, we have something a little extra special. And so we've got a nice little clock here thanking you all, but you sacrifice a lot of time to be with the youth. You know, you travel, even though your kids are played, you're still putting other folk in your car, you're probably paying for other kids to eat and things of that nature. And more importantly, you have shown, you know, our youth how to live, not just, you know, through sports, but, you know, how to live and be good individuals, good human beings. You've given them discipline, you've given them consistency, and I really wanted to make sure that we took some time today to thank you all for that. And if they may have a few words they would like to say, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We initially started all of this for our class. We had 3, and kind of started chasing after them and it doesn't take long that you get involved in any type of youth athletic situation, that you realize that it's much bigger than your kids, as Mr. Garrett was saying. It's very rare that we go anywhere out somewhere that we don't run into a kid that we've coached at some point, at some time. They always say, "Hey, coach." That's what they always come at you, "Hey, coach." As I told Garrett and the stuff I sent him, the ultimate goal here is we put enough situation in with kids that hopefully as they become parents, they turn around and do the same thing for the community. That was what our goal was all along. To better the children and grow the community the best way we know how. So we probably will put the cleats and the baseball bats and all of them shortly. We got kids in college now, and we got one going to play college ball and volleyball. Be chasing her a little bit, but we won't be out of the picture, Tony. So thank y'all.
And I met your sophomore today, so I know you got at least 2 more years.
That's right.
It's just been a blessing. I think the kids bless us as much as we bless them.
Absolutely.
Awesome, and we definitely appreciate it, and when we get that new YMCA, maybe Mr. Kinkerman will have a spot for you all to come out and work with some youth there. So once again, we want to thank you for all that you do for the youth of Henry County, and I'll say for the adults as well, because a lot of parents trust you are with their young folk, and they can leave them at practice with you. They know they're going to be in good hands, and I know my daughter, although she says Mr. DeShazo is real tough, you know, her favorite coach, because when he get at me, when she said when you get at her, it makes her play her best. And if you haven't heard Mr. DeShazo really come at students on that athletic field, then you haven't heard anybody coaching. So, yes, sir, we appreciate it. Yes. And
Our next agenda item is agenda item number 7, but I don't see anyone from the treasurer's office. So.
That's correct. Mr. Brownstown is not here.
Okay. We'll go to agenda item number 8, financial matters, taking up 8A, an additional appropriation referencing the seed beautification program for the Planning, Zoning, and Inspections Department. Mr. Wagner, if you would give us some background on that.
Sure. Staff is requesting the board to appropriate $12,500 received from Valley Star Credit Union for sponsorship in what we call the Strategic Economic Environmental Design or seed beautification program. These are essentially the landscaping gardens at some of our major intersections. Valley Star is sponsoring a garden located at the intersection of Highway 220 South and 58 there in the clover leaf section. And these funds will be used to maintain those gardens for the duration of the time.
Right. With that, what is the board's desire in regard to the additional appropriation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appropriate $12,500 from Valley Star Credit Union for the sponsorship in the seed program as requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. 8B, a transfer appropriation referencing asset forfeiture funds for the sheriff's office. Mr. Wagner.
Sheriff Wayne Davis and Commonwealth Attorney Andrew Nestor are asking the board to approve an additional appropriation of $40,000 from the Commonwealth Attorney's state asset forfeiture funds to the sheriff's office budget to purchase 24 body-worn cameras for the criminal investigations, civil process, vice, and court security divisions. It's also important to note that the Code of Virginia requires localities to fund positions in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in proportion to the number of law enforcement cameras. The county currently funds an attorney position and a clerical position for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to meet these statutory requirements. Mr. Nestor has agreed that these additional cameras will not trigger the need to fund additional positions in his office.
Okay. You also have background material provided by the Sheriff's Department as part of your working papers. What is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the transfer appropriation of $40,000 from the Commonwealth Attorney's State Asset Forfeiture Fund to the Sheriff's Office budget for the purchase of 24 body-worn cameras.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer. 8C, an award of contract referencing Beaver Creek Drive extension for the engineering and mapping department. Mr. Wagner.
Staff is asking the board to award a contract to Wiley Wilson of Lynchburg, Virginia for $79,500 to provide engineering services related to the Beaver Creek Drive extension project. Pricing for this work is based on RFP number 08-1253-815, and funding for this project has been previously appropriated by the board from an economic development access grant.
What action would the board like to take in regard to this awarding of contract?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to award the contract to Wiley Wilson of Lynchburg for $79,500 to provide engineering services related to the Beaver Creek Drive Extension Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer. 8D, an award of contract referencing an ambulance for public safety. Mr. Wagner.
Public Safety Director Matt Tatum is asking the board to award a contract to Desk Sales and Services Incorporated for $325,244 for the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-550 four-wheel drive ambulance. This purchase will replace an existing ambulance with over 14 years on the modular box and 7 years on the ambulance chassis. Purchasing department has authorized this as a sole source procurement. The funding for this project is included in the current fiscal 2025 budget.
What is your turnaround time on that?
I'll defer that to Mr. Tatum if that's okay.
Mr. Tatum, what is turnaround time?
Historically, it's estimated that a new ambulance is about 18 months to 24 months out. However, because they already had the chassis in stock, it's the reason why it's a 24 chassis. It's still a new chassis, but it's a leftover. We think we may actually be able to get this one a little bit quicker.
Okay.
We don't know at that time, but we estimate a little bit quicker.
All right, thank you. With that, what is the pleasure of the board in regard to this awarding of contract?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to award a contract of $325,244 to Vest Sales and Service for the purchase of the ambulance as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. That takes us to agenda item number 9. We'll have an update from Martinsville, Henry County YMCA. We have with us the director, Brad Kinkema. Brad?
Thank you. I have a 20-minute presentation. I'm going to do in 5. We're going to zip through this. If you need supplemental information, you can reach out. So I think you know we bought the property on Memorial Boulevard. It's not Church Street, it's Memorial Boulevard. They're calling it 5 Points, and you can see it's 7 acres, and we plan to put early learning child care center, a full YMCA that's expanded from what we have now. Over to the right, you have a splash park, and then to the left, you have pickleball, basketball courts, and some sport courts. We're happy to announce that the Lester family has contributed to name the facility after them. This is a rendering of the entrance. And you can see there the splash park with seating named after Carter Fang. This is the view of the Early Learning Center that will be licensed for up to 94 individuals and will include infant and toddler care. A view of the sport courts, pickleball courts as well. So this is the interior. We plan on 2 pools. Oh, how do I go back? Okay, there we go. You may know that we do the first grade learn to swim with every Henry County school. They come from the school. We give them a swim lesson and then they go back to school. Including Martinsville and Carlisle, we give over 700 kids swim lessons through that program. We also host Magna Vista and Bassett High School swim teams. So the pool is quite busy, and that's why we are developing 2 pools to be able to have, for example, Bassett practicing at the same time that we can have swim lessons in the rec pool. We have a small splash pad there that we're trying to drive families not only to the Y, but into the community. That's an amenity they want. 3 half courts in the gymnasium because I think, Mr. Diller will agree there's a shortage of gym space. We're always looking for our basketball program where we can be in the schools, so this will allow us to do it in-house. We also have teens that come over to the Y every day, and when we have programs, we have to kick them out. You can see the preschool there with infant toddler rooms. It has its own entrance. Other things I want to point out is the Kids Adventure Child Watch area. That's where you can drop your kids off, and it'll have large play apparatuses like a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A. And then multiple purpose rooms where we can do things like bingo for seniors, STEM programs like robotics and different things like that. This is a view of the entrance into the pool. You can see, and then you can see up in the upper left-hand corner, the fitness center, so it's very open. Here's another view of the pool. The upstairs is where the wellness section is, which will have a lot of newer amenities that people are looking for. The treadmills will face either into the pool or in the parking lot, and we'll have all the newest fitness equipment. And 2 group exercise studios where we can do things like yoga, Pilates, spinning, and then a walking track. There's nowhere to walk inside. That is our busiest thing. We have over 1,000 seniors that come to the Y, and they love walking on the track. They used to go to the mall, and now they come to the Y and hang out. So there's a great view of it. Another view of the fitness center. So where we are, so this is a $28 million project, and even though it is in Martinsville, we serve actually more Henry County residents and members than in the city. So this is a $28 million project. We received $12 million from the Harvest Foundation. We have been doing a community campaign in which we've raised $5 million. We have a federal allocation in through Griffith's office for $2 million that we feel optimistic when the federal budget finally passes, hopefully in March, that it'll be in there. We have Appalachian Region funding potential. We've put in a planning grant to CDBG, and then we've also applied to a variety of foundations and funding requests. It's possible, if the stars align, that by late March we could be at 20 million in commitments. Every day we're working on one of these aspects to raise more funds and move this project along. So I'm here today to request that the county consider a $500,000 investment towards the project. One of the amenities that I mentioned was the splash park that was outside. We hope to make this not only amenity for Y members, but for city and county residents. And this would be something that in most municipalities, if you do a study on what they want in the community as far as parks and rec, splash park is the #1 thing. And then pickleball, I think, is right along there, which I think you guys have done a great job of adding some pickleball courts. So I'd like you to consider that. We'd love to add that. I'm meeting with the city council in February, was not able to meet with them this month. because of the change in city council, but we'll be meeting with them and making the same requests.
Okay. Did you want to take questions, or does
Yeah.
anyone have any questions? Or?
I have a, yeah, oh, well, yes, and thank you for the splash pad. That's one thing that I keep hearing from the community is that Martinsville and Henry County would like to have a splash pad. And my question is, well, it's two questions. How do you determine, and you answered that somewhat, how the splash pad will be monitored and used in terms of who's allowed to use it, and how are you going to determine that?
So to get to the splash pad, you would have to come through the entrance of the Y. So you'd come into the building and then you'd go out. So I imagine that individuals would come to the front desk, they'd either scan their Y card or they would show that they're a city or county resident, and then they would be given, I'll use Eden for example. If you're a city resident of Eden, you pay, I think, $3 a visit for it. If you're not, you pay, I think it's 10 or 15, so it's escalated quite high. So I would see that we would monitor that way. There'll be a fence on the outside, so you won't just be able to walk in from the parking lot.
And I know some of the public pools and other situations where it's full and
Yeah.
people are turned away. I feel like the splash pad is going to be enormously popular.
Yeah.
So that would be one question. And then as an early childhood person, how do you determine, I may have asked this before, how do you determine who is accepted into that program? Because we also know that there is a shortage of early learning centers. And how would you determine, is it by application? Are
We
there
take
other
applications.
prerequisites? Because then I'm also asking for county residents,
Yeah.
how their children and their families would use the splash pad, and then how county residents would also, their children would be accepted into an ELC program.
So presently, our campus for our preschool is in Collinsville. So we have not only individuals from the county and the city, but we also have them from Roanoke, Patrick County, and North Carolina. So we have an application process. We do take social services, which I think about 30% of our participants are on social services. So these are individuals that are working that fall 200% or below the poverty line. And so we get reimbursed from them. We also, a lot of times, they don't quite meet that threshold. So we also have financial assistance for individuals that can't meet that criteria, that still have a hardship.
When they meet those requirements, though, it is still, because I would think that you would get more applications than you would have spots for. And you would determine that by first come, first serve. And again, I'm asking on behalf of Henry County.
Yeah,
residents.
first come, first serve.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
And I guess, if you have the financial request, and I'm not for sure, if we're going to take it up at this very moment or not, but is that one of those opportunities that we could, with the solar money that we're bringing, that we're getting, with the siting agreements, is that one of the possible sources we could consider, if this is something that we decide to do?
So I know we committed some of our solar siting agreement funds this year to address immediate capital needs, such as the ambulance that was just funded. I'm pretty sure that was part of the siting agreement. I'd have to get back with you on how much we have left and how much we expect to fully answer your question. I don't know where we're at on a dollar amount in our siting. But it's certainly the board's prerogative to spend that money how you wish.
Any other questions? Thank you for taking the time to update us on this. And as you know, we're entering a budget season as well as other localities that, and so this is just one of the things that will be considered.
And I will throw this out. It can be multiple years, so certainly we need to front load things because we would like to start construction in a year and a half, and we need to have the funding. But we have spread some investments out over time. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
time.
Yes, sir.
That takes us to agenda item number 10, informational items. I will begin with seeing if there's any comments from the board, starting with Dr. Cobbler.
Yes, I would like to thank the board for allowing me to attend again the Virginia Association of Counties in Richmond, and I did spend an inordinate amount of time with our senator and both of our delegates. And I will say they are working hard for us, I believe. And just to update, Mr. Tatum, I know that you stay informed with all of this, but with a co-patron with Delegate Phillips, the HB 2069 is the additional insurance for purposes for fire programs and funding aids. I know that you're aware of that and you're staying informed about that. That looks like that it is very hopeful with that. And also, VACO continues to oppose the legislators taking over some of the power of the localities to make decisions, specifically on land use and other things. So VACO definitely says keep the decisions and the priorities at a local level and not with the state legislator. And again, thank you for allowing me to go, and I do think it is important work to work with our legislators.
I don't have anything.
No, sir.
Mr. Buchanan? Mr. Wright?
No, sir.
I'm going to yield for a moment to our Public Safety Director, Mr. Tatum, if you'll come and state, just for the benefit of those in the room and those that capturing notes on this for the press, what type of situation we are as far as dryness and fire. I've got 2 weather alerts from 2 different sources today saying that we're in an extreme high danger.
Well, it's nothing like putting somebody on the spot. What did I
Well,
do this time?
you know, might as well be you.
We are getting ready. The state burn ban actually goes into effect here in just a few days, where you can't burn until after 4 p.m. Unfortunately, we may have had some moisture, but it doesn't take long with the dry air, with the humidity being so low and with the breezes like we've got today, that the surface of the ground dries out very, very quickly. We had a intensive fire this weekend that was a ground fire, and it moved very quickly merely because of just how dry the surface of the ground is. You get off the surface, yeah, you may be able to get down into some moisture, but that's going to dry up pretty quick too. We certainly don't have the conditions like they have on the West Coast that we've seen in national news, but it is not necessarily always safe to burn in our community, and it is drying out very quickly. It's that time of year.
Well, and my whole thing of bringing you is protection of our volunteers. They spend a tremendous amount of hours over the weekend as in that one situation. And it's not only burning them out from a manpower standpoint, but I think that there was probably losses or at least some setback on equipment, fire hoses, those type things, and it's not easily replaced. So just making the community aware to use
I think one department lost several hundred feet.
That's exactly right. And with that, it's just making the community aware that be smart about things.
Mr. Tillman, can I make a comment on this same
Yes,
issue?
sir.
The fire that they had up there on Richardson Road in Collinsville, I had a lady to call me, her name was Miss Blackwell. Her elderly parents lived up there, and she had to go get them and then evacuate them out. And she was asking if there was a way to put a burning ordinance on particular highways, or because it's a dead end, there's only one way out. There's not 2 ways out. If there was a possibility that we would look into maybe putting an ordinance to where you would not have any burning on that particular road, or you would have controlled burns on that road through the county. I talked to Mr. Tatum about it the other day, and I'm not for sure exactly where we would go or what we need to do to try to look into that. Now, me and Mr. Tatum had talked about it. We need to probably get Mr. Clark involved in it also. But would you want to just briefly?
Well, and, you know, every one of y'all on the board have received complaints from time to time, people burn. And in the county, we don't have a strict ordinance against outdoor burning. There are some state regulations about what you can burn, and the county is pretty lenient about what can be burned. We are a rural community, and that's just the way sometimes we dispose of our leaves and our brush and stuff like that. But so I would defer, obviously, it's the board's decision on the ordinance, but I defer that to Mr. Lyle as far as the wording of such and how that would be. When I spoke with Mr. Bryant, I encouraged him maybe to discuss it with Mr. Clark about could it be attached with zoning. Certain zoning classifications would be restricted to burning. I think there's a lot of different avenues we could go down that path, but it's certainly going to be something that would require some research and looking into from all the different players, and I would certainly defer to Mr. Lyle's expertise on how that would be worded.
Well, since we've opened the subject, then, and it may take some time for that research, if you all will work together on that, I think that would at least let us know what we can do.
And I'll get with you, Mr. Lyles, shortly and discuss what we talked about. Maybe we can check with Lee also on the ordinance that we may have to come up with.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have. Mr. Wagner?
Just a reminder of your planning session on Thursday, February 13th at 3 p.m. at the Public Safety Complex at 1024 DuPont Road, and look forward to working with you that evening on our plans next year.
All right.
Mr. Adams, I apologize. I had one more bullet here that I jumped over. Could I just address one more thing very quickly, please?
Certainly.
And this, Mr. Wagner and I had just a very brief conversation about this yesterday. I've been asked about our board meetings and whether they are publicized through Facebook, and just I've been questioned about that. And again, a brief conversation with Mr. Wagner yesterday. He said in the past that has been addressed by former boards, but I would like to just to publicly, for the record, say that our board meetings are recorded and they are put on YouTube, right, Mr. Wagner? They are put on YouTube the next day, the full recording of the board meeting?
Yes, that is correct. All the public sessions of the board are recorded and posted to the county's YouTube channel, generally by 9 a.m. the next day.
Which I think is very sufficient, so thank you.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. That takes us to agenda item number 11. If someone will cite the items allowed by the Code of Virginia and the Freedom of Information Act to allow us to go into closed meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion the board convenes in a closed meeting as permitted under the following sections: 2.23711A1 for discussion of appointees to the Public Service Authority, Industrial Development Authority, the Planning Commission, Uptown Partnership, and the Dan River Alcohol Safety Action Program Board. 2.23711A7 for discussion of pending legal matters. 2.23711A3 for discussion of the acquisition, disposal of real estate, and 2.23711A5 for discussion of as yet unannounced industries.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? The 6-0. Jennifer, see you all upstairs in about 5 minutes. Meeting on the motion by Ms. Buchanan, a second by Mr. Bryant. Mr. Powell, will you poll the board, please?
Board members, to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711 were heard, discussed, or considered in a closed meeting. How do you vote? Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dillard?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cobbler?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Quigley?
Yes, sir.
There are no items that I think that we need to consider, but I will ask once again, Mr. Wagner, do we have any items to consider before recess?
I need to make the motion about the property on Meeks.
Not till after the public hearing tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse
That's
me.
after the public hearing.
Gotcha, I'm sorry.
Board members, do you have anything? If not, we'll stand in recess, start promptly at 6 o'clock. call the 6 p.m. session of the January 28, 2025 meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors back to order from our recess from earlier this afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Remind you that if you want to address the board, you must sign up 7 days in advance of any of our regular meetings to be put on the agenda. The county administrator is the contact person for the board. However, the public may address the board under the agenda item matters presented by the public that we'll take up later in this meeting as agenda item number 17. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out and being part of your county government. Our first agenda item for tonight's meeting is general highway matters. We have Lisa Hughes and Jeff McCambridge from VDOT.
Good evening. Well, the Smart Scale scores were released last week, and the Salem District had only had three projects that were recommended for funding, and one of those was the roundabout at Dillon's Fork, and I've got a sketch, kind of just a concept sketch that shows you what it's just proposed to look like, just a concept sketch, but it was recommended for funding. And what that means is the Commonwealth Transportation Board at the spring transportation meeting, they will vote whether or not to place it on the 6-year plan for funding. But it was recommended with the cost of $17,978, or almost $18 million. So again, they'll approve the final list at the spring transportation meeting. Thanks, Steph. If you've got any questions, just let me know.
Lisa, I have a couple.
Okay.
And I'm excited about the fact that it did make the smart scale.
Yes.
I'm excited about that because that is definitely a road that needs some improvement. Was a light at all mentioned in that before the roundabout?
No.
Okay.
The second item I had, I would like to go ahead and schedule our secondary 6-year plan hearing for the March board meeting from 6 to 6:30, and we'll handle the advertisements as usual. And that's all I have.
Board members, do you have any items for Ms. Hughes?
I do.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
just say, I do like to just publicly bring attention to things in our district that are getting done. Thank you for that. I think, Mr. Wagner, you gave me some good news about painting Reed Creek this year, Reed Creek Drive. Yes, and that evidently has come up quite a bit, so just wanted to publicly thank you for that and just recognize that it is getting done.
Great.
Thank you.
And I've got a lot of comments on the brush clearing that's been done in the Ridgeway area. Everyone appreciates that, so thank you.
We'll pass that along.
And myself personally, just to let people know that construction going on in Collinsville, it's got to do with the crosswalks right there at CVS drugstore intersection right there. So you said that would be completed in probably 2, 3, 4 months, or?
Yes, imagine 2
Right.
2 or 3 months.
Right.
But that's a safety improvement that was done with highway safety improvement funding.
Right.
Lisa, I received several calls there at the intersection of 58 and Carver Road. Again, we had another accident, and I'd like to see if VDOT would include that in the smart scale recommendation for the next period.
In the smart scale projects,
Yes.
or something, the county makes application for.
That's why I looked at Lee.
And and I know we have meetings every 3 months to kind of go over, just to keep a rolling list.
Yes.
And I know he's gotten that on that.
Do you need a motion on that, Lee? Okay, all right. Also, there on 58 and Route 58 East, the rumble strips right before you get to Horse Pasture Price Road have worn down.
Okay.
Would you be able to replace those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 13, presentation of the 2024 Jack Dalton Community Service Award. Mr. Wagner, will you give us a little bit of background on this, please?
The Board of Supervisors established the Jack Dalton Community Service Award in 2001. It is presented annually to the Henry County resident who best exemplifies the standard for community service set by the late Mr. Dalton. Mr. Jack Dalton was the chairman of the Board of Supervisors at which time his untimely death. And he was a pillar of the community, and the ward was named after him. And it's my understanding one of the board members has some additional information about the receipt.
Dr. Cobb, I believe that you have a item to read for us and for the board's consideration to adopt.
Yes, sir, thank you. It's lengthy, well-deserved, so here I go. The resolution of the Henry County Board of Supervisors, whereas Mr. Jack Dalton served as a member of the Henry County Board of Supervisors for more than 24 years and was serving as board chairman at the time of his death on May 24, 2000, and whereas the Jack Dalton Community Service Award, recognized as the highest honor and most prestigious award presented by this board, annually goes to the Henry County resident who best demonstrates the exemplary community service that marked Mr. Dalton's years of public service. And whereas one such volunteer, Clifford Stone, is a lifelong resident of Henry County and has devoted his time, talents, and resources to improving his community through years of dedicated volunteer service. And whereas his civic involvement extends to numerous organizations, including the Sandville Ruleton Club, the Bassett Area J.C.'s, Bassett Kiwanis, the Martinsville Moose Lodge, number 2003, the Martinsville Henry County Chamber of Commerce, the Adult Daycare Board, and the Clean Community Commission, where he has contributed to various initiatives aimed at enhancing the quality of life for all residents. And whereas Mr. Stone is a founding member of the Greater Bassett Area Community, a lot of representation here today, Incorporated, a local nonprofit organization, and has served as its treasurer and financial advisor since its inception, ensuring that the group's efforts are both effective and sustainable. And whereas Mr. Stone played an instrumental role in several impactful community projects in 2024, including the Street Light Sponsor Project, beautification of Ferrystone Park Highway, Rhythms by the River family events, and the Highway 57 cruise-in, all of which have positively impacted the Bassett community. Now, therefore, be it resolved on the 28th day of January 2025 that the Henry County Board of Supervisors presents the 2024 Jack Dalton Community Service Award to Clifford T. Stone. Furthermore, the board encourages all local citizens to emulate the good deeds of Mr. Stone, who is a true public servant in our community. Jim Adams, Chairman of the Board, Henry County Board of Supervisors. So, Mr. Chairman, it is my honor. What time did I apologize? To make a motion to grant the 2024 Jack Dalton Community Service Award to Clifford T. Stone for his contributions to Henry County.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer? This is a presentation by the entire board, so I will ask the entire board to join me down front.
No. Scoot back.
I didn't know I did all this.
Thanks, Vice Chair. With the board and then the GBAC and the other people here. Okay, yeah, I was going to ask them.
3, 2, 1.
I just know it's depending on the pictures you want. I just didn't want to assume that we would just take one picture, but whatever everybody thinks.
Cliff There's families here.
Family members, Carl, Eric, Jim, Louise.
Well, I got time. The guy the other day and said, congratulations on your award. And,
That's not all.
you got the right guy.
We still getting it. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Good job.
Hey, Jim, Jim,
Say something?
his name will be placed up there with all the others.
I beg your pardon?
His name will be placed up here with all the others.
Mr. Adams, does he want to say anything?
His name will also be placed on a plaque here in the meeting room. And, it's already on there.
Already there, okay.
And so it's on permanent display here.
I don't know if you heard.
Again,
that.
congratulations. This tells us something that this entire group from the GBAC, they're community-minded. They strive to keep something going that has helped revitalize the efforts in Bassett, and it doesn't go unnoticed. They start with not only community beautification, but I think, Alan, you guys are about ready to post the schedule for the cruise-in, which has drawn as many as 450 cars in some of their different events. And again, is that third Saturdays?
Third Saturday of the month, 3 to 7 o'clock. Last year, in our biggest event, we had 528 cars.
Wow, wow.
Wow.
This will be, like I said, our 10th year.
But if
Very
you,
excited.
if you see the improvements little by little and the activities going on, this group, you all should be proud of what you have accomplished. And you engage other people. I remember helping in one instance that we were picking up trash on the backside of the river on Lenore Drive, and the weeds were higher than Clifford's head and almost as high as mine, and we were down there picking up trash. But so getting other people involved is part of it as well. And thank you so much for what you all do. Again, congratulations, Clifford.
Mr. Adams, I'm not sure that Mr. Stone realizes that also his name is on the placard, because there was a lot of talk, and I just wanted to make sure that he realized that his name had already been put up there. Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Right.
Here? Okay.
That takes us to agenda item number 14, public hearing referencing the budget amendment appropriating funds from the 1% sales tax fund for new construction and renovation for the school board. Mr. Wagner.
The school board is requesting the appropriation of $2.66 million from the 1% sales tax fund designated for new construction and renovation of schools. The school board has indicated the funds will be used to replace the roof at Laurel Park Middle School. Since the amount requested exceeds 1% of the total county budget, the board must hold a public hearing before appropriating the funds. The public hearing has been properly advertised and scheduled for this meeting.
I'll open a public hearing to take input on this budget amendment at 6:14 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in this public hearing for this budget amendment? Seeing and hearing no indication as such, I will close the public hearing at 6:14. Board members, you have substantial background material in regard to this. What is your desire as far as action on this budget amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $2,660,000 from the 1% sales tax fund to replace the roof at Laurel Park Middle School.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer. Agenda item 15, public hearing referencing a sale of county property to Meeks Commercial Properties LLC. Mr. Wagner.
Staff has solicited bids from interested buyers for the county property located at 119 Kaufman Drive in the Collinsville District, shown on tax map 29.4000. The property is owned by the Board of Supervisors and was previously used by the Henry County Public Schools for the school bus garage. Following the bid process conducted through our purchasing department, Meeks Commercial Properties LLC was determined to be the highest bidder on the property. After finalizing the sale of the property, the board must hold a public hearing on the matter. The public hearing has been properly advertised and scheduled for this meeting.
I will open the public hearing at 6:16 to take any input on the sale of this county property. Is there anyone desiring to address the board during this public hearing time on the sale of this property? Seeing and hearing no indication as such, I will close the public hearing at 6:16. Mr. Bryan, I believe this is in your district.
Yes, sir.
If you desire to bring forth a motion.
Yes, sir, I do, sir. I move the Henry County Board of Supervisors sells the property commonly known as the old school bus garage to Meeks Property LLC for $206,000 and authorize the chairman, staff to execute the documents necessary to complete the transition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 16, conduct a public hearing referencing a rezoning application R-25-01 Robert Cessna. For background material, we have our Director of Planning and Zoning, Mr. Lee Clark. Mr. Clark.
Okay, this property is located at 14748 A.L. Philpott Highway. It's in the Horse Pasture District. Property shown on tax map 51-1 is lot 18. The applicant is requesting a rezoning of 2.34 acres from suburban residential district to agricultural district A1, and the applicant wishes to use the property for agricultural purposes. Following the public hearing, both the Planning Commission and staff both recommended approval of this request.
I will open this public hearing to take input at 6:18. Is there anyone desiring to address the board on this rezoning application? Yes, sir. I have a brief statement. You come on forward as I'm reading this policy statement. And this applies to any of our public hearing and the matters presented by the public tonight. This is a time for public comment. We welcome your participation in tonight's meeting. We're here to listen to you. If you care to address the board, you're coming to the podium, state your name, and of course we know this subject matter, and state the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you've agreed that you will exhibit respect for the board and its members and the staff. You will receive the same consideration from the board. Please try to keep your presentation to no more than 3 minutes.
My name is Robert Cessna. I've applied for the zoning variance and change of zoning of the property. I just wanted to thank y'all for the, taking the time to consider this, and appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board under this rezoning application? Anyone else on the rezoning application? I will close the public hearing at 6:19. Ms. Buchanan, I believe this is in your district.
It is. Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the rezoning as it's been presented to us.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer? That takes us to agenda item 17, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone wishing to address the board under matters presented by the public? I see one hand. Please come forward and, again, state your name and your district.
If I get up, get on. I'm Doug Stigall from Collinsville, Virginia. And one of the board members here asked me to come and talk about where these things can go on record. I'm gonna talk about 3 intersections in Henry County that I think need to go on the smart scale. One of them is the 220 bypass at Bassett Forks, where it comes down to a yield sign that goes into 220 business. If you understand what I'm talking about. Even the police has complained about this intersection. It's really dangerous. Nobody's mentioned it or anything, but I think, in my opinion, it's an easy fix. If you look at the intersection of Joseph Martin Highway and 220, it comes straight down. It comes straight down to a stop sign. And they could do that there. They take a curve out at the bottom where the yield sign's at. Because William Merman got killed there. They had wreck after wreck there because people don't yield. And the other intersection was right there at Bassett Forks. It's not in my district. And it's Reed Creek Drive and 220 Business. Right there at Nelson Subaru. If you come down through there Reed Creek Drive in the mornings, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not safe for young people to try to drive there. And my daughter lives on Reed Creek. Instead of avoiding that intersection every morning, she has to go back up to Tower Road, come back down and hit 220 to dodge it. I mean, it's people say it's not bad, it's terrible. If you just look into it, you'll see what I mean. And I think that needs to be on smart scale. Maybe they could do a roundabout there. Now, Joe told me that they couldn't do a roundabout on a 4-lane highway. But he's wrong about that, from what I understand. They can do it. And I don't know if smart scale would approve that or not. But that's really one of the worst intersections in Henry County right now. And the other intersection is the intersection of Kings Mountain Road and North Daniel Creek Road. If you come down through Daniel, if you're coming down Kings Mountain Road at night where it's raining, that road, that intersection is terrible. I don't know, I talked to Lee Clark about it, and he said it didn't look like it could do anything, but maybe they could bring some engineers from Northern Virginia down here that's more familiar with doing something, because it is really dangerous there. They had wreck after wreck there. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Mr. Stigall. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board on the matters presented by the public? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Cliff Stone, and I want to say thank everyone for this award. And I have one thing that's kind of in my crawl as a person that picks up a lot of trash, is yard sale signs. People will go to an intersection and stick up a yard sale sign, and they'll leave it ever and ever until the wind or something destroys it. And I'd like to see an ordinance of some sort, at least giving them 24 to 48 hours to remove that sign, or the deputy can dig it up and take it to the house and give them a citation. And but these things are all over, and of course summertime coming, there'll be a whole lot more of them out there, and they need to be done away with. And so, and again, thank you all.
Yes, sir.
So keep doing.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board on the matters presented by the public? Okay, seeing and hearing no indication, that takes us to agenda item number 18, if someone desires to make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for adjournment as listed on agenda item 18. All in favor? It's 6-0. Everyone have a good evening. And again, thank you, members of the GBAC, for being here tonight.